We are having breakfast for dinner and starting with some savory muffins. So first thing you're going to need is a standard 12-cup muffin tin. Don't get a big one, don't get a mini, standard 12-cup. Grease it, set it off to the side, and get ready for the biscuit goodness. Get a package of 8 biscuits, not the skinny ones, get the fluffy ones, and cut each one into 6 pieces. Yes, it does need to be 6. If you chunk them up into 4, then it won't have an even distribution of flavor and you'll be a little disappointed. If you cut them up smaller than that, then they'll brown too quickly and won't have a chance to really get good and savory. So 6 pieces each, stick them in the bowl. It'll be easy to remember too because then you need 6 pieces of bacon. Fry that off, chop it up, don't let it get too done because we don't want it to scorch in the oven with the added heat. Throw those in as well. Next is going to be 3 green onions. You just want the white and pale green parts. You can use 4 if your onions are kind of skinny, or you can even omit this altogether if you can't do onions. I only used 3 though because mine were monsters. And don't just slice them up into the rounds. Go ahead and chop them up even more so that they'll be smaller pieces, kind of fall apart, and be able to be well distributed through our mix. Next is going to be 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And you know how in cooking shows, they just pour it on and then never actually scrape it out of the bowl? I never understood that. I want all that goodness. I need all of that butter. It's going to help the seasoning spread. It's going to help the biscuits not stick to each other. I want all of it. Now for our spices. We're going to start with onion powder. You're going to want 3/4 teaspoon of onion powder. If you really love that flavor, you can punch it up to a full teaspoon. If you don't like that flavor, then you can bump it back down to a 1/2 teaspoon. I like onion powder, so I do an even 3/4 teaspoon. Then it's going to be time for a little seasoned salt. Yes, seasoned salt. Regular salt will work, but the seasoned, so good. 1/4 teaspoon of that. And then we're going to do roughly a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Why roughly? Because I have fresh ground and I don't feel like grinding some out, measuring it, and then pouring it in. That's just a whole extra step. So about a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh cracked black pepper. Then some shredded cheese. You want a nice quality shredded cheese. I'm using Gouda because it's something a little different and I think it's really nice. A good cheddar though would work just as well, but it cannot be American because that will not melt correctly. Mix everything up. You can try using a spoon, but you're gonna have to get your hands in there because the biscuit pieces are going to want to stick together, and that is no good. You're gonna want them separated so that they all can get stuck with the bacon and cheese and onions and butter and seasoned salt and black pepper and onion powder and just be coated in everything before it goes in the oven. Once you've got that good and mixed, grab your greased muffin tin and you're going to want 4 biscuit pieces per muffin cup. If there's extra cheesy goodness left in the bowl, go ahead and grab that and pack it on top. 350 in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. Now let's slice up some apples. These are Honey Crisp, happen to be my kids' favorite, and they were on sale, bonus. Slice them up pretty easy. Cut off the cores because nobody likes getting seeds. I do a whole bunch for dinner. If they don't get used, I can use them in lunches for the next day or as always as a go-to snack for my kids that are always saying they're hungry. If you haven't heard of it, you really need to get on the Fruit Fresh bandwagon. It will keep your apples from turning brown, avocados, everything. Sprinkle it on, stick it in the fridge, good to go. Fruit Fresh is great. Time for some eggs. Eggs are always last because they cook the fastest, and cold eggs are gross. I use large eggs because that is what comes standard in most recipes, and this way I don't have to worry about doing any conversions. Crack them in a bowl separately beforehand so that you don't accidentally lose a shell in the skillet. And then I like to add a little bit of milk to mine. Not a lot, just a little bit, because when you're whisking them up and then when you cook it in the skillet, it does help them be fluffier. Get a fork, mix them up really, really good so the whole thing is yellow. And then in a skillet, medium heat, butter, salt, pepper, and take them off the heat while they're still glistening because dry eggs are gross. And that's dinner. Gorilla muffins, scrambled eggs, and apples. Oh, and as always, gotta have a little Tabasco. Find the full recipe on my blog, lifeinreallife.net, and enjoy.